pray to God Almighty, my spiritual guru, and my parents, and I begin. And let me also pay my respects to my teacher, Dr. Anand, who's here, with whom I was associated for quite a long time. And when I look at Anand, he is not just a teacher. Anand is more like another guru for me. In fact, when my spiritual guru died, I had a dilemma because he was an absolute comfort zone for me. For everything, I will run to him. I forgot what it is to take decisions in life. When he died, I didn't know what to do. Then I kept searching for another guru. That time, Anand told me one thing. He said, Doctor, there will only be one guru in life, whether he is alive in the physical form or not. You have found a guru. And he said, nobody gets a chance to be with the guru for 12 long years. My association was for 12 years. He said, in the olden days, the Gurukulam is for 12 years. So he said, your Gurukulam is over. He has taken you as a student. He is your guru, and no change in that till you die. So sometimes you need clarity to come at the time when you are in a dilemma. And I am eternally thankful to Dr. Anand for having given me. Initially, yoga was like just fun. And in fact, it started because my wife was the first student of Dr. Anand. So she is very regular. She does yoga very seriously. So she pushed me into it. She wanted her husband to be very slim, trim and whatnot. So I got into yoga, but I don't think I was such a strict disciplinarian like her. So every now and then I will break. But the only advantage I had is a persistent teacher like Anand. He won't leave me. Even now, we started with one set of yoga. He has cross-checked with my wife. Is doctor doing it every day or not? So there is some monitoring system at my house. So it's difficult to debauchify Mr. Anand. So today being a very auspicious day for learning. And I've been a teacher, I've been a practitioner, I've been a researcher, I've given a lot of lectures about my subject and also in general. Even for Yoga Master sake, I've given some lectures, youth and yoga. And to a software company, we gave a lecture saying how important it is to have yoga in software, everything. But of all that I did, the one thing I really enjoyed is being a teacher, because that's something which I really, really loved. Because I learned a different perspective of teaching. In fact, I used to tell the teachers wherever I address them, once you become a teacher, the first thing you learn to respect is your student. Unless you respect your student, you cannot be a good teacher, because only your student will make you a good teacher. Unless he performs, you are no good a teacher. Whatever methods you employ, how good you try, unless your student performs, you are not a good teacher. So the first thing, what I have learned, I wouldn't say an advice for the young teachers, but what I have learned in my teaching career spanning for about 35 years is the first person you learn to respect is your students. Because students are students. That is the first thing you should accept. And we have a different mentality once we become a teacher, that if the student is not good, we try to punish them right from school days. If you talk in class, you are sent out. If you come late, you are made to kneel down, whatever. Even the criminal code, IPC, says if you commit a murder at the age of 15, you are not sent to jail. You are only sent to a correction facility. That means the children are never punished. If they do some mistake, you have to make them understand and make them correct it rather than to punish it. So I'll always say, if that student, if you are of my age, think if the student is like your son or daughter, or if you are little younger, like your brother or sister, whatever, and think whether what you do will cause any permanent damage to them. So that has to be kept. The welfare of the student must be kept foremost in the mind of a teacher. And as far as yoga, in fact, when I was in Ramachandra, I started a humor club. I believe a lot in humor. That's my easiest way to get off humorous situations. I mean, get off stressful situations. So I was inaugurating a humor club for the university. Just before my talk, there was one yoga teacher who was speaking about different types of yoga and all that. So I started by saying, there was a wonderful talk by an yoga teacher today. And when I listened to her, I learned that I have also been doing yoga. But then I also realized I'm only doing half the yoga, because she said when you breathe in, your abdomen must come out. And when you breathe out, it must go in. For me, it came out, but to my knowledge, it never went back in. So I realized my yoga was only half. So why is yoga important? Because nowadays, if you find suicidal tendencies are on the rise with children, everybody. If you take the children, because there is no joint family system. In fact, somebody else was telling me the other day, if both the husband and wife are together, it's a joint family today. There is no question of grandfathers coming in. The children of today miss the grandparents. In fact, we had a joint family. I remember whenever I used to scold my son, the first thing he will do is run to my father. So my dad will ask him, what happened? My dad shouted at me for this. Don't worry, he was worse than you when he was your age. So he will become very happy. After 2-3 minutes, he'll tell him, but still what you did is wrong. No, I think so, Tata. So please go tell him you are sorry about it and you won't do it again. He will come and do it. Because the grandparents know a way of handling children. Today they are not there, absent. If both the father and mother are working, they don't have parents because they have no time. The time which they can't give is compensated by money. So today's children don't know what it is not to get something. They don't know what it is to be to face a failure in life, because that's the first thing they never know how to handle. So before the exams, the last NEET, before the exams, 3 children committed suicide because of fear of failure. I have even told a lot of people, the first thing one should realize is the biggest God's gift to human being is the human body. I'm not saying it's priceless because working eyes, legs and all, nothing. The most beautiful thing about this is it's fully automated. Suppose God has told you, you have to pump your heart, otherwise it will stop. And I keep doing. Any other interesting thing in my life means nothing to me, because if I get distracted and stop, I'll die. Even if the most beautiful lady comes to me and say, I want to just hug you, do something, get out, because if I stop, I'll die. Everything becomes meaningless. Everything runs on its own. You take a lot of sugar, there is an insulin which automatically comes, reduces it. Once it is reduced to normalcy, it just stops. Nothing waits for you. You don't have to do all the things that has to happen in this body yourself. Fully automated, a wonderful gift of God. And as a doctor, I can tell you, we have never understood the mechanism of human body fully. Even now, we don't know what is life. Where was it in the body? When you say it's gone, where did it go? When you're living, there are no maggots. Where were they? How did they come when you so-called you say die? What cause? There are so many questions about this human body you can't even understand. But God has just given it to you and said, use it. Only thing, it doesn't come with a user manual. So how to use this body without damaging it? I used to say, once my father gifted a very expensive watch. I was scared to even wear it because I felt I shouldn't scratch it, lose it, forget it somewhere. So everything, I hardly will wear that. I'll keep it in a thing, see it, and then close it back. So this human body is such a priceless possession what we have. We have no choice of damaging it or destroying it further. It comes with an expiry date. It's given to you as long as you are alive. Just have to return it back at the end of your day. Till that time, taking care of it becomes your responsibility, even though it does 90% of your job. In fact, I still remember my professor taking a class. He will say, the human body goes on for 80, 90 years with nothing going wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, it's no wonder you die, but it's a wonder you live. Because every minute, every second, we have to realize that. Then what should we do to the human body? Like what Gandhiji said, non-violence is also to yourself, not others. First is for yourself. You cannot cause stress onto you. If that is something which is causing a lot of trouble to your body, avoid it. Don't bring it in. Change your perspective. Keep yourself physically fit. These are all the things. And who is the one who can give you the user manual of this body is the yoga teachers. Simple. God believed these yoga teachers. He said they will be able to tell the human beings how to use this body in good health and in good spirits. And to maintain this body, it's not only physical, it's spiritual, and also it's mental. And yoga incorporates everything inside that. You always start off spiritually, and you always physically work it out, and you always have a meditating aspect to keep your mind calm. So, with due respect to all you yoga teachers, first I want you to know you're very unique. You're better than the doctors. You're better than all the specialists, because none of us know the operating manual of this human body. We keep trying, and in the end, we tell the patient we have done our best, we leave it to God. You are the people who know what exercises to do, how to do it, how to keep yourself this thing, and how to run this body without any damage. You are simply great. Better than the doctors, better than everybody else. But only thing, as a teacher, you should have a lot of patience, because compliance from people is not that good always. There are some bad students like me. Only a good teacher can keep me going in yoga for so long. So you need that little patience and everything. In fact, I used to tell a joke about teachers. 5 professors wanted to attend a conference. They chartered a flight and got into it. Then the air hostess came and said, I have good news for you. This plane was designed by one of your students. Immediately 4 professors jumped out. Only one was sitting. So the air hostess said, you are so confident of your student. Definitely. If this was designed by my student, it won't fly off. It will never fly. So I am not worried. So we are not the teachers like that. We are the one, we should be knowledgeable. Today, as a teacher, knowledge is power. That's when the respect comes from students. So you have to keep yourself always updated, and you have to always be knowledgeable. Number 2, a teacher should lead by example. I was a smoker once. When I was the dean of Ramchandra Dental College, one day one student walked into my room and she said, sir, I want to have a word with you. Hope you don't get offended. I said, I won't get offended, tell me. She said, you are a good man. You are a person like you should live longer. Why can't you leave that smoking? I felt so bad that I am being advised by a student. I should be in a position to be an example for them. Then I didn't know how to stop it. I went and joined Vipassana, a meditation. And 10 days later, when I came out, I had quit smoking. And thanks to that student and thanks to the Vipassana. In fact, Vipassana taught me a lot of things in life. When I communication with anybody. When I came home, my wife picked me up. So I was thinking, what all would have gone wrong in the house? 10 days I'm not there. So I asked her, what were the problems you had? She said, what problems? No, 10 days I'm not there. So what, if we are not there, why should there be problem? So no problem, no problem. Then I went to the clinic in the evening. I asked my assistants, what are the problems? 10 days, what happened? Nothing happened, sir. These patients came, we managed like this. And I said, Ramachandra is a very big institution. Without me as a dean, a lot of things would have gone wrong. So I went to ask my secretary next day morning, what man, 10 days, what happened? Oh, sir, some small issues were there, but all that we sorted out. No issues. Then I realized, நம்ம இல்லைன்னா ஒன்றும் குடிமொழிக்கு போயிடாது. நம்மளா நினச்சிக்கிறோம், நம்ம தான் எல்லாம். They used to tell a story of a lizard in the ceiling. மேலே இருந்து அது அப்படி பார்க்குமா. நம்ம தான் இந்த சீலிங்கை தாங்கி பிடிக்கிறோம், கையை விட்டோம்னா கீழே விழுந்துடும். கையை விட்டால் இதுதான் விழும், சீலிங் விழாது. ஸோ I realized we are not important. And later on, I realized one more important thing. I said this world had the God himself come in. If you say Jesus Christ, Nabigal Nayagam, Ramar, Krishna, all avatars. And after their work is over, they all left. The world didn't stop. When the world can do away with such avatars, the gods themselves, who are we? We are nobody. So that ego cannot come in, that we are important, we are only doing, no. We are doing what we have been destined to do. So thanks. I don't want to take a lot of time. And it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to different type of people, especially the yoga teachers. I'm thankful to all of you who have dedicated yourself to yoga. And I also thank Dr. Anand for putting up with a bad yoga student like me, and wish you all the best.